Only blood family this year, Margaret announced, her voice dripping with satisfaction as she stood in my kitchen. We're going back to our traditional party dinner. I looked up from the sugar cookies I was decorating, the ones I'd spent hours making for the family gathering she was now uninviting me from. My name is Emma, and at 34, I've been married to her son James for 5 years. Every party since our wedding, I'd hosted the family dinner, transforming our home into a winter wonderland that even Margaret had grudgingly praised. I don't understand, I said, keeping my voice steady. I've hosted party for the past 5 years. Margaret's perfectly lined lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Yes, and it's been interesting. But this year, with Thomas's new baby, we want to keep it intimate, family only. Thomas was James's brother, and his wife Jessica had just given birth to their first child. Jessica, apparently, was invited despite also being an in-law. The distinction wasn't lost on me. Jessica will be there, I asked, already knowing the answer. Well, of course, Margaret waved her hand dismissively. She's different. She's the mother of my first grandchild. The real message was clear. Until I produced a grandchild, I wasn't really family. Never mind that James and I had been trying for 3 years, dealing with fertility issues that Margaret constantly dismissed as excuses. I see, I said quietly, setting down the piping bag. And James knows about this. Oh, he understands. Family traditions are important. Margaret touched one of the cookies, leaving a perfectly manicured fingerprint in my careful decorating. These are a bit amateur, aren't they? Jessica's taking a professional baking course. I took a deep breath, remembering the recipe was my grandmother's, the same one I'd used every party since I was old enough to reach the counter. The same cookies that James said reminded him of his own grandmother's baking. Well then, I smiled, surprising myself with how calm I felt. Thank you for letting me know. Margaret blinked, clearly thrown by my lack of protest. She'd come armed for a fight, ready to defend her decision with the arsenal of subtle jabs she perfected over the years. That's it, she asked, suspicion creeping into her voice. Of course, it's your decision. Family only, I completely understand. She lingered for a moment, perhaps waiting for tears or pleading, but I simply returned to my cookies, humming Silent Night under my breath. Finally, she gathered her designer purse and headed for the door. Dinner's at 6 on party eve, she called over her shoulder. I'll tell James to bring that sweet potato casserole you usually make. Jessica found a better recipe for him. After she left, I sat at my kitchen counter, looking at the cookies I'd spent all morning perfecting. 5 years of trying to win Margaret's approval, of hosting perfect dinners, of swallowing her backhanded compliments and subtle digs about my inability to give her grandchildren. I picked up my phone and called my best friend, Sophia. She did what? Sophia exclaimed after I explained the situation. Uninvited me from party. Family only, I repeated, surprised by how steady my voice remained. That witch. What did James say? He's at a conference until tomorrow. She made sure to come when he wasn't here. You have to tell him. I looked around my kitchen at the boxes of party decorations I'd pulled out that morning, at the schedule for party dinner I'd already planned out. No, I said slowly, an idea forming. No, I don't think I will. In fact, I have a better plan. Emma? Sophia's voice held a note of concern. What are you thinking? Remember that community center you volunteer at? The one that hosts party dinner for families in need? Yes. How many people do they usually serve? About 100, but they're always short on food and volunteers. Why? I looked at my perfectly decorated cookies, at the extensive menu plan I created, at the decorations waiting to transform my home. Because this year, they're going to have the best party dinner they've ever seen, and I'm going to need your help. I'm listening, Sophia said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. First, we need to make some calls. I know exactly how to use my party dinner budget this year. As I outlined my plan to Sophia, I felt lighter than I had in years. Margaret wanted a family-only party. Fine. But she was about to learn that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about who you choose to share your table with. The next few days would be busy, but for the first time since Margaret's visit, I was actually looking forward to party. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about doing better. One more thing, I told Sophia before hanging up. Don't make any plans for party eve. We're going to need all hands on deck. "Count me in," she replied. "And Emma, she's going to regret this." "Oh yes," I said, looking at my grandmother's cookie recipe. "Yes, she is." The next week flew by in a whirlwind of preparation. While Margaret posted daily updates about her traditional family party on social media, I was quietly orchestrating something much bigger. James returned from his conference, and as I predicted, came home with Margaret's version of events. "Mom says you're okay with skipping party this year," he said cautiously, watching me chop vegetables in the kitchen. "She mentioned you had other plans." I smiled, keeping my tone light. "Oh yes, I'm helping with a community dinner. Don't worry about me." He looked confused, clearly expecting the hurt or anger Margaret had probably warned him about. "Are you sure? I can talk to Mom." "Absolutely sure," I replied, reaching up to kiss his cheek. "Your mom wants a traditional family party. I respect that. Besides, I'm excited about my plans." Over the next few days, I watched James grow increasingly uneasy with my cheerful acceptance. He'd come home to find me baking dozens of cookies, preparing freezer meals, or coordinating with Sophia on the phone. Each time he asked if I was really okay, I assured him I was better than okay. The community center was thrilled with my offer to help. When I mentioned I'd be bringing enough food for 100 people, complete with decorations and gifts, the coordinator nearly cried. "We usually struggle to provide the basics," she explained. "This is like a party miracle." What Margaret didn't know was that I'd been saving all year for party dinner, planning to make it extra special. Now, instead of spending it on her ungrateful family, every penny would go toward making party memorable for people who would actually appreciate it. Sophia and I spent days transforming the community center. We hung twinkling lights, set up party trees, and created centerpieces for each table. My grandmother's cookie recipe was multiplied tenfold, and the freezer was stocked with casseroles and sides. 3 days before party eve, Margaret called. "James says you're working at some soup kitchen." Her voice dripped with disdain. "Really, Emma, there's no need to be dramatic. If you like to come to dinner, you only need to ask." I stirred the pot of homemade hot chocolate on my stove, smiling at her transparent attempt to make me beg. "Thank you, Margaret, but I'm quite excited about my plans. The community dinner is going to be wonderful." "Community dinner?" she scoffed. "Serving food to strangers instead of being with family? What will people think?" "They'll think I'm doing exactly what party is about, sharing joy with others." The silence on her end was satisfying. Finally, she spoke, her voice tight. "Well, I hope you enjoy your charity work. We'll be having a proper family celebration." "I'm sure you will," I replied cheerfully. "Oh, and Margaret, don't worry about having James bring the sweet potato casserole. Jessica's new recipe probably won't go well with frozen turkey anyway." Before she could respond, I hung up, feeling lighter than I had in years. Party eve arrived bright and clear. While Margaret prepared for her perfect family dinner, Sophia and I were at the community center early, putting final touches on everything. The place looked magical, twinkling lights everywhere, tables set with real linens and decorated with pine centerpieces, a massive tree surrounded by wrapped gifts for the children. The kitchen smelled amazing. My grandmother's cookies were arranged on festive platters, homemade hot chocolate simmered in large urns, and the buffet tables were laden with traditional dishes, all made from scratch, all made with love. At 5:30, families started arriving. Their faces as they walked in, seeing the transformation, made every minute of preparation worth it. Children squealed at the sight of the tree and presents. Parents wiped away tears, thanking us over and over. "This is better than any restaurant," one mother whispered, holding her young daughter's hand. "We haven't had a real party dinner since." "Well, you're having one tonight." I smiled, handing her a plate. "Everything's homemade." By 6 o'clock, the place was full of laughter, conversation, and the kind of genuine joy that no proper family celebration could match. I was serving hot chocolate when my phone buzzed with a text from James. "Where are you?" "Mom's dinner is a disaster. Jessica's new recipe burned and the store-bought turkey is still frozen. Everyone's arguing." I looked around at the happy faces, at children decorating cookies at the craft tables Sophia had set up, at families enjoying a meal together without judgment or conditions. "I'm exactly where I need to be," I texted back, adding a photo of the beautifully decorated community center. "Having the best party eve of my life." My phone immediately lit up with calls from both James and Margaret. But I silenced it. They could wait. Right now, I had cookies to serve and carols to sing with my new extended family. One that didn't care about blood relations or grandchildren or perfect recipes. As I watched a young girl carefully decorate a cookie using my grandmother's recipe, I realized something important. Sometimes the family you choose is more precious than the family you're born into. And sometimes being excluded from one table leads you to build a bigger, better one of your own. The impact of that party Eve dinner rippled through our lives in unexpected ways. By midnight, my phone had over 30 missed calls. Most from Margaret, several from James, and even a few from Jessica, who apparently was mortified about her failed cooking debut. I finally answered James's call as I was helping clean up the community center. The joy of the evening still hummed in my veins as children left clutching presents and parents thanked us with tears in their eyes. Emma, James's voice was a mix of awe and regret. The photos you sent, did you organize all of that? Yes, I said simply, watching Sophia pack leftover cookies to send home with the volunteers. This is what I chose to do with our party, budget instead of hosting your mother's perfect dinner. It's incredible, he paused. Mom's dinner was, well, it was awful. Everyone left early. She's furious. I'm sure she is, I replied, not feeling an ounce of sympathy. How's Jessica's recipe book working out? He let out a shaky laugh. Everything burned. We ended up ordering Chinese food, but most places were closed. Mom's still in tears about ruining her traditional family party. I thought about the families who'd just left our dinner. How many had said this was their first real party, celebration in years? Sometimes traditions need to change, James. Sometimes we need to realize what really matters. The next morning, party day, I woke up to find James sitting at our kitchen counter, staring at the dozens of thank you notes that families from the community center had written. Why didn't you tell me? He asked softly. About Mom uninviting you, about all of this. I poured myself a cup of coffee, taking my time to answer. Because you needed to see who your mother really is without me pointing it out. And because I needed to prove something to myself. What's that? That I don't need your mother's approval to be part of a family. That I can create something beautiful and meaningful without her permission. He nodded slowly, picking up one of the cards covered in childish handwriting and glitter. You certainly did that. These people, they'll remember this party forever. So will your mother, I added, unable to keep the satisfaction from my voice. As if on cue, the doorbell rang. There stood Margaret, looking decidedly less polished than usual. Her eyes were red, her designer outfit slightly wrinkled. The newspaper, she thrust a paper at me. Had you seen it? I hadn't, but there on the front page was a photo of our community center dinner, twinkling lights and happy faces captured perfectly. The headline read, Local Woman Creates Party, Miracle for 100 Families. They interviewed me last night, I said, scanning the article. Look, they even printed my grandmother's cookie recipe. Margaret's face flushed. You did this to humiliate me. No, Margaret, I corrected her gently. I did this because you showed me what family really means. It's not about blood or tradition or perfect recipes. It's about love, acceptance, and making room at your table for others. She opened her mouth to argue, but James cut her off. Enough, Mom. You excluded Emma because she hasn't given you a grandchild. You play favorites with Jessica because she did. But look what Emma created while you were busy planning your perfect family dinner. She made party magical for 100 families. Margaret's lips trembled. I just wanted a traditional family, and how did that work out? I asked, not unkindly. While you were serving frozen turkey and burnt casserole to your blood relatives, I was sharing my grandmother's recipes with people who appreciated them. That's the thing about family, Margaret, it grows when you open your heart, not when you close your doors. The silence that followed was heavy with realization. Finally, Margaret spoke, her voice small. The article, it mentions you're doing it again next year? Yes, I nodded. The community center already asked. Apparently, word's gotten out. We might need to plan for even more families. She clutched her designer purse tightly. Perhaps I could help. I do have some experience with event planning. I shared a look with James, seeing the hope in his eyes. We could use an extra pair of hands, I said carefully. But understand this, everyone is welcome at that dinner. Everyone is family. Margaret nodded slowly, understanding the deeper meaning in my words. As she left, I turned to James. Think she learned her lesson? He pulled me close, kissing the top of my head. If she hasn't, she will. You've shown everyone what party should really be about. That evening, as James and I delivered leftover cookies to our neighbors, my phone buzzed with a message from Margaret. It was a photo of her perfect designer party tree with a simple caption. Next year, would you teach me your grandmother's cookie recipe? I'd like to learn how to make party magical too. I smiled, typing back, of course, that's what family does. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about showing others a better way. Margaret had tried to exclude me from her family, but in doing so, she'd helped me create something far more meaningful. A celebration where everyone was welcome, where family wasn't defined by blood but by love. And that was the greatest party, gift of all.